Hey guys, it's Tarindu, and I thought I'd make this small video to demonstrate some of the features of the leveling system, and it's much better if I present these things to you in a video because it will make a lot of things clearer. Alright, so how you add your experience system into the existing game is by adding the VLevel Manager script into your third-person controller object. So you can see there are a couple of variables to maintain, starting with the base XP. So this is the starting amount of experience that you have. It has to be something other than 0. And the maximum levels that you have in your game, this is the maximum number of levels your player can reach. And let's just cut it over here. Update stats with level up. So this will decide if whatever stats that you have maintained for your player will be leveled up when you reach the next level in your XP curve. Alright, so the stat trends will contain the stats of your player, and the experience function will determine what sort of formula is applied to calculate the experience for the next level. Alright, so I provide these two functions, power rule and logarithmic. So if I just take you to the code, you can see that in here under experience and experience strategies, you can see that I have the logarithmic experience calculator and the power rule experience calculator. Yeah, so let me just open one of these and show you. Right, so this is a modified version of the script that I came across in this particular article. You can look into these things. So the reason I am showing you all of this is because if you need to add your own sort of experience function into this game, this is how you're going to do it. You're going to have to write a specific logarithmic experience calculator. Just implement the experience calculator strategy and write your code based on one of these things. You can look at one of these things and write your own code, and once you're done with that, you can go to the level manager custom and simply add a case statement under these and initialize your new calculator and assign it to strategy. So it's that simple. Okay, so let's take a look at the stat trends objects that we have here, the stats holder. Alright, let's just give it a second. Okay, so when it comes to the stats holder, you can see that it contains all the stats of your player, and this particular script is of type stat trend. The reason that it's a stat trend is, apart from the stat, it also contains a trend that will be applied onto your stat when you are leveling up. Note that this trend will only be used if you choose the option to level up your stats along with your player experience. Alright, so if you take a look at the trend that I have set for health, you will notice that the trend graph is at 1.00 value on the y-axis all throughout the x-axis. It means that if you're using the level up as a you're incrementing your stats as a level up, how that works is your stat will be increased by the factor that your experience was increased. So it's the total difference in experience over the last level's experience. So that will give you the amount of that will give you the factor at which the experience was increased, and the same will be applied to your stats. So what this graph, the trend graph, will allow you to do is to break the monotony there. So you will be able to randomize or scatter the way the stat increase will be applied. So this y-axis at starting from 0 and going to 1.00 is a representation of the percentage of the stat that will actually be applied. For instance, let's say our health was at 100 and it's going to be increased by a factor of 1.5. That's going to give you 150 health. But if you, so this curve remains at 1.00 all throughout. So that means that whatever stat increment that was applied will be always applied and kept it at that. But let's say if this graph was somewhere around here at 0.50, that would mean that only 50% of that stat increment would be applied. So it's not going to be 150, it's going to be 125. So the x-axis of this graph also varies from 0 to 1. So that represents your minimum level at 0 and max level at 1.0. So it's a trend between it's a trend on your stats factor that's being applied over the number of levels, or over the number of levels that your player will reach, or the player's level progression. I hope that's clear. So when it comes to stamina, you can see initially at high levels the stamina will be high. The factor or the amount of stamina that will be increased as part of the leveling would be high, or would be full at the first few levels, but the trend is decreasing, which means as you go on to higher levels, the amount of stamina that's going to be applied is going to be very less. So you will have to figure out other ways to increase your stamina. So that's the kind of dynamic environment that I'm trying to create with the trends. Okay, so you can choose to either use stats to level up, to be leveled up using trends, or you can just turn it off. And also you can combine this with increasing stats by performing actions or killing other enemy players and such. So for example, if I take a look at the boss AI, you can see that I have a stat component here, and my stat component states that my health is supposed to increase by 20%, and stat component is my stamina is also supposed to increase by 20%. Yeah, alright, so let's leave it at that. And if you also take a look at the item collection that I have on this particular chest, if I go into the collection, you'll see that I have added a couple of stat component scripts. So these stat component scripts also show you some values that are going to be incremented. So let's go back to our boss AI. So you can see that these are also percentages, and I have set it for 50 and 10% each, 50% and a flat 10 for stamina. Let's turn off what we have set for the boss, because I want to show you how the trends work when you level up. So we go to the enemies, go to the boss. Let's take off these scripts, because we'll be demonstrating the same thing when we interact with the chest. So if you take a look at how it's going to work when it comes to enemies, you will be updating this stats using the add experience from component method in your stat components on the onDead trigger. Alright, I hope that's clear. Right, so let's save this. So you can see that the experience awarded when you kill this enemy is going to be 1000. That is why I'm deleting all of this, so you can see the amount of experience applied on level progression. Okay, so let's run this and see how it works. So let's go to the level loader. I'm going to create a new slot here. Let's give this slot number 4 and let's start. Let me pause the game until it's loaded. Alright, took me about a minute to load. So if you take a look at this particular area in the debugging screen, you will see that I have a small console output where I show the difference between each level and the experience. So this will allow you to play around and tweak your constants or whatever variables that you are using to set the experience and see how the trend changes. Alright. So you can see that we have a small bar here, then that's to represent experience. I'll talk about the experience bar a little later, but for our intents and purposes, the start is 0 and the end is 100. So this represents the percentage of experience that you have when you're trying to level up. Okay, so my quest status HUD are pretty much work in progress, so you will see that you won't be able to see the full text. Okay, so you saw that the health and the stamina got increased. Sorry that I didn't mention that before. Let me just show it to you again. Alright, so I'm about to interact with this box and show you how my stat increase is going to happen. So keep an eye on the health and the stamina bars. Alright, you saw that the stamina got increased by a flat 10, while the health got increased by the amount that I set on the item collection. Okay, so you can see that I also gained a small amount of experience here. You can change the color of this experience by if you don't like cyan. Alright. Alright, so if you take a look at this debugging screen here, you'll see that to go to the next level I need a 381 experience, so I have gained some of it here, but when I kill this boss I get 1000 experience, so that means I'll be able to progress another level forward. Alright, so let me just show you how this is going to work. So I'm going to kill this enemy, and when I kill this guy some of the stats would increase also as a result of the level up. Okay, so keep an eye on it. Oh yeah, there you go. I have set a very high amount of XP to be going up, so you can a very high factor to be coming out, so you can see how that's going to work. So I went to a couple of levels here, 1 and 2, although my text only showed level 2. I need to work on that. You can see that my stats increased dramatically, so that is the kind of thing that you do with the stat trends. I hope that makes good sense to you. So let me know what other features that you would want me to work on when it comes to the experience system, because I'm really new to this particular chapter of games. Alright, and one more thing that I wanted to show when it comes to maintaining new kinds of stats is by going to the stat type and adding a new stat. It will ensure that your drop downs will show this as a stat, and by going to the V level manager custom, you can see that for health I calculate whatever value that's going to be applied to this stat, and I set it up here in this particular method. So when it comes to stat type strength, you can decide how you are going to work with the stats value. So current stat dot value will give you the value of the stat you are checking on. So based on that, you can decide what you're going to do with for example, when you maintain the stat type strength, you can take the weapons that your player has from his inventory, and based on that you can apply a couple of attributes to those weapons and stuff like that. So it's very interesting, and it's very customizable. Sadly, you have to code to get these things done, otherwise it's not going to be very easy, because it's going to be a really complex system for me to make if I take away all the coding parts and replace it with visual scripting parts. Okay, so let me know what you guys think, and hope you enjoy this when it's released. Thanks.